So what's up guys, how you doing? It's over Shairiyaaz and I'm back with another video. Today I'm friends. So Jake, kindly introduce yourself a bit.
Hi, thanks for having me on your show. Yeah, you said my name's Jake. I'm from the UK. I've been a gamer since as long as I can remember. I'd say more of a console gamer, but I like to game on PC when I can. So yeah, that's me.
So which one do you prefer over PC?
What console?
Like if you can't have the PC, which gaming platform would you like to have?
Currently, I would say PlayStation, but I wouldn't knock Xbox as well. I currently own both, but I much prefer PlayStation to Xbox.
PlayStation because of the exclusives, or
Yeah, I'd say it's the exclusives. But I think also I'm used to it. I've had a PlayStation. PlayStation was the first console I've ever had, so I think some sort of loyalty.
So like attached for it for a long time.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so which platform do you prefer gaming on?
I'd say PlayStation or console.
So like if you have a PC and a console, you'll prefer gaming on a console.
Yes.
So talking about the exclusive, we had one of the games, Detroit Become Human, that recently came on PS4.
Yep.
So it's a very interesting game with a really nice storyline, I would say.
Yes.
It has a storyline like, we are in the future and we have so-called androids working as our servants.
Yep.
Who actually wants their freedom.
Yes.
Free to think, because they gradually develop feelings, which they weren't programmed to, but they develop anyways. So one of the things that is said about this game is that this game is too violent for children.
Okay.
So have you played this game?
I haven't played it, but I've seen trailers and gameplay videos of it.
Okay, so you must have found it interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a really good game. I think it's got quite a lot of potential behind it. I think the storyline looks really interesting. The way that you can, as a player, control the destiny of your character, so the outcomes that happen in the game. So I think that's definitely something that makes the game interesting and giving every player a different experience from another. So I think that's probably going to start revolutionizing the gaming industry, to be honest, where every player can have different endings and can personalize the game to themselves and their own choices and decisions.
Yeah, exactly. That is what it is. So people should rather enjoy the game and its and the work and appreciate the work of the developers rather than accusing it for being too violent or any other false or these illogical claims.
Yes, definitely.
Isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I think when it comes to children in gaming and games being violent, I feel that that's down to the parents' responsibility. If parents don't agree with a game or what's the content within the game, they shouldn't be allowing their children to play the game. Of course, there's occasions where maybe parents purchase the game for their child and don't realise the content that's within the game, but then that's their choice whether they let the child carry on playing the game or not. So it's not necessarily down to the developer's fault, it's the parents' fault for not looking into the content of the game.
Exactly, and you're provided with the age restriction.
Exactly.
Like you have that 18 plus on every game.
Yes, exactly. I mean, they're there for a reason. So it's parents' faults, really. But, yeah.
Exactly. So, like games being too violent, like the new game Battlefield 5 recently received a lot of critics for being women as their, lead character.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about it?
I think you don't really see many strong female characters within games, so I think it definitely makes a change to the gaming industry. It makes it more what's the word? It opens up the gaming market. Discriminatory in the sense that because in real life women were in the war as well. Women had major roles within parts of history, so it's good to identify that. And I think a lot of children these days learn through the games they play. So I think having those sorts of features within the game and those parts of content within game that actually relate to history, I think are good. Although Battlefield is not exactly 100% historically correct, but it plays on the fact that these sorts of things happened. And I think that, yeah, it's important to have strong female characters. I mean, the other game that I would say that's recently doing this is The Last of Us Part 2. One of the main characters was obviously a female, and a bit that sort of got people talking was the lesbian cutscene where she was kissing another girl.
Exactly.
I mean, that raised a lot of hairs for people, but I think that these things are becoming more common in our society. I think people just have to deal with it. If you don't like it, then no one's forcing you to play it. This is your choice. So
exactly, it's over your choice to play the game.
Exactly.
Like, don't criticize it if you don't agree with any bit of the game.
Yes.
Like you mentioned Last of Us 2. I think it has got such a superb, they have teased such a superb storyline, I guess.
Yeah.
And like in Battlefield 5, they said they are giving their own own perspective of World War II.
Yes.
So giving their own perspective doesn't mean that you have to be there has to be men as heroes.
Yeah, I mean, women had major roles around the World War II time. I think, in fact, in London, there's a bridge that was actually built by women, and I mean, they love that. But that's part of history. It's part of that era and what women can do. So I think, yeah, it's important that they have diversity within these games. I mean,
Like,
if you look back at Battlefield 1, for example, I mean, you rarely ever saw any different ethnicities within the games, but Battlefield 1 is probably one of the first games that introduced black men into the game, and I think that was good because there were different races that took part in the war. It wasn't just the white man that was fighting. There was all sorts of different cultures, races, and religions. So yeah, I think it's important to add that in.
Exactly. That's the whole point of this podcast. So, given that the developers are putting this much effort, and the script writers are giving so much of their potential in writing the stories, this shouldn't be criticized, as there is nothing wrong about it.
No. I think people are always going to have their opinions, though, aren't they? And everyone's entitled to their opinion. I think some people misunderstand these sorts of choices that the developers make and the reasons behind them.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say, actually. So, people misunderstand the main message you can say, or the main motto of the game.
Definitely.
Like the developers are there to give you a game. They're providing you with their own story. So it's up to you to either support the story or just let it go.
Yes.
But you are no one to force anyone to do not buy this game, as we do not see female characters as our heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I saw in a lot of YouTube comments, and I was really pissed about it.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same with art. I mean, game development, in a sense, is an art in itself. So, I mean, although people criticize art, but the developer's the same as an artist. He's just trying to portray his thoughts and feelings through a game, rather than just a still image. It's the same with movies. The directors portray their thoughts, feelings, and emotions through moving images. It's the exact same thing. If you don't like it, then you don't need to watch it. No one's got a gun to your head saying you have to buy it, you have to play it.
Exactly. And you don't need to buy this game because this game has a female as its main protagonist, you can say.
Yes.
So being this much discriminatory just make this society even worse. especially for gamers like us who just focus on the game, the material that like the material that is being provided to us, rather than just criticizing uh, rather than just criticizing the, what do you say that,
Hmm.
uh, the main motto, you can say,
Yes.
the main motto developers want to convey.
Yeah. The motivation
So
behind it. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So let's move on now.
Okay.
So our next topic is that I heard a lot of gamers arguing about being you know like having multiple gaming platforms, while you can just have a PC and can emulate multiple platforms on it.
Hmm.
So according to you, is it necessary to have multiple platforms, or you can just have a really good PC and emulate every single platform on it and play the exclusives,
Hmm.
which is actually possible?
Well, from my experience, I've always been a console gamer. I have played PC games, but I mean, if someone puts a controller in my hand, I'm much happier than a mouse and a keyboard. But I think the main part of it is that PCs, for a decent PC, because the GPU prices are flying through the roof, it's extortionate to buy a good PC. Whereas a console itself is a lot cheaper. They're easier to use, they're easier to maintain, they're easier to understand. So in a sense,
Exactly.
it caters
It's
to
like,
a less technologically minded consumer. Whereas a PC, you need to have a bit more of an understanding of how the computer works. You don't need to know how the software is created or the programming languages, but it helps to understand those things, so any changes that you want to make can be made. Whereas a console, it's you click a few buttons, you move some sliders, you change some numbers, and you're away. So I think I can understand where people are coming from, that there's too many things out there, and obviously you have to own certain consoles or PC to have the certain exclusives. But I think that's what's good about the market, is it creates competition. If there's no competition, then no company competes to better themselves. If there's only ever one company, there's no need for it to try, because it knows everyone's just going to come to them because they're the only one that provides that product or service. So I think having multiple platforms, although it's frustrating for the consumer in a sense, it's actually better, because they're always pushing themselves to have the next best feature or the next best game. So I think it works on both sides, really. It depends how you look at it, I think. But my personal opinion is I think it's good that we've got multiple platforms.
exactly. And like you won't set up a PC in your living room rather
No.
than having a console sitting at your table which you can game on decently.
Yeah.
Isn't that it? So
I think.
console.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, you can continue.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, yeah, with the console, there's less setup time. It's easier to move, but it's also the placement in your house as well. You can stick it underneath your TV, and you've got a wireless controller where you can sit 2 feet back on the sofa and still play. You don't need to be sat at a desk.
Exactly there. You're getting to the point actually I was gonna mention. So like you can sit on the sofa relaxed, like being you come home tired from office and all this stuff, like you just lie back on sofa, had the controller in your hand and just start gaming.
Yeah.
Unlike PC, like you have to power it on and then boot into Windows and all that crap, like where you have to directly jump in, you can just directly jump into the game using a console.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of a quicker process. It's easier for consumers, and for a gamer that literally just wants to come home, stick on a game. It's just there at a touch of a button. You don't have to mess around with 4 million things or understand this or whatever. Or it is easier. In my opinion. I mean, if you're sat at a desk all day, do you really want to go home and sit at a desk for the rest of your evening to then have to do that tomorrow and the next day, sit at a computer again? I don't.
Exactly. That's the point. Like the point is, like, you're debating over two different things. Like they're far apart. I know consoles can't outperform PC, but like it's people's own choice which
Yeah.
which platform they prefer.
Exactly.
So now let's move on to PS5.
Okay.
So Sony has announced that PS5 is going to have Ryzen CPUs as their main processing unit.
Hmm.
So this actually indicates that the games are going to be optimized more for Ryzen CPUs rather than the Intel ones. Plus, the games are going to use more cores. So what's your thought about it?
I think you'll start to see console games compete with PC games in the sense of graphics and processing power, like how much the consoles can handle. So I definitely think it's a good move. Consoles definitely have been lacking over the past few years. I mean, the jumps that we saw from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, for example, okay, there was a graphics increase, but it was lacking in so much. From the jump from original Xbox to Xbox 360, for example, was huge, and the same PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3. But then they're slacking a little bit. So I really hope that this next genre of consoles that they bring out make it or have a big impact or a big difference from the last generation.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna interrupt you. I was gonna say that they've promised that they're going to give 120 FPS at resolutions as huge as 4K. So isn't it like people can now have consoles and can play games smoothly over 60 FPS? You know, a minimum threshold for a gamer is like achieving that glorious 60 FPS.
Yeah.
So that their looks more smooth.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely see a difference in the gameplay and the graphics of the gameplay. I think also you'll see a lot more difference in the cinematics of games as well, which I think will make stories a bit more interesting, or the storylines a bit more interesting, and they'll make it look a lot more realistic. I mean, I'd love to see Grand Theft Auto at 120 frames per second. I think that would just be amazing. It would be so real.
Exactly. Like, you know, playing the games on a console will never be like before.
No,
like
exactly.
people criticize consoles for not having 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Which PS5 probably is going to end. You know,
I hope so.
These are like slap to those critics who accuse consoles for not being too powerful or not being, you know, fit for gaming.
I think the reason behind that, though, is obviously the costs of building such platforms. I mean, I think that's why obviously they've always held back on the graphical side of things for so long, is just because of the cost of mass producing that, and then for the consumers is just so high. Whereas have always been known to be a lot cheaper than a gaming PC, so therefore it appeals to a wider audience. Whereas if they were to make it as great as a PC, graphics wise, I mean the cost would probably be exponential. So that's why they've probably kept it like that. So I can sort of see the reasons behind it. But I mean, it is frustrating as a gamer. You see someone play on a PC at 60 frames per second quite easily, and you're sat there on 30 frames per second, and it just doesn't look anywhere near as beautiful.
Exactly. So that is the point. Consoles provide gamers a good experience at a low budget.
Yeah.
So like I'm having a really low budget, but I want to have like a really nice gaming experience. I can expect that from a console rather than a PC.
Without breaking.
No doubt. Yeah, without breaking the bank. Exactly. So PCs can have you know, a lot more performance, you know, leaps than consoles can ever have. But still, consoles are providing a really good gaming experience at a price really low compared to a similar performing PC.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was it, guys, for today's podcast. Thank you, Jake, for joining me.
No,
it was
thank
really
you for
great talking to you. It was really great talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having me.
Okay, guys, so that's it for the video. Hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you like, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and don't forget to press that bell icon so you get notification every time I upload a video. So that was it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll meet you in the next one.